its guardians ask, the gatekeepers of hell ask, Alam ya'tikum nadhir, did no warner come to you? This is also su'alu tawbih. No warner came to you? Nobody came to warn you? And they're being thrown in, like they're being yelled at and thrown in. This is prison orientation before they're chucked in. And the words are so powerful. Ya'tikum. Ya'tikum actually means, it's the word for coming, and it has a few other implications. It means to someone to approach you, someone to actually literally attack you. Ya'tukum min fawrihim hadha. Ata can mean the coming of attacking you. Nobody hit you hard with this. But ata, if you look at the literal meaning of ata, to come actually means for someone to come even casually. Nobody even once just nicely came to you, even in some conversation. Forget like intensely making lots of effort to come to you. You never even had somebody warn you ever in the least bit. And that's inside the word ata. Then the word nadhir, and I'd like you to understand the difference. Al-farq bayna al-nadhir wal-mundhir. Al-nadhir wal-mundhir. In the English translation of the Quran, nadhir and mundhir both get translated as warner. Okay? But there is a beautiful and subtle difference between them. Mundhir is an ism fa'il. It's the active participle, what's called in English grammar or morphology, the active participle. And nadhir is a sifa, it's an adjective. Okay? Now the thing is, when you say mundhir, I am not a mundhir unless I'm warning you right now. If I was warning you right now, you would call me a mundhir. But if I was sleeping, you wouldn't call me a mundhir. A nadhir is actually someone warning you, whether they're actually literally, physically warning you or not. Their presence itself is a warning to you. That's actually a nadhir, constant source of warning. There's a constancy in nadhir that is not there in mundhir. The fact that the messenger is present, by the way, just put this in perspective. Sometimes students, especially students in like Muslim schools, their teachers are extra scary. So the teacher doesn't have to warn them to behave. If they see the principal or the teacher walk by, the existence of him is a constant source of warning. You understand? The Prophet ﷺ here, or there were people, if you just looked at them, you should have been like, I'm not behaving how I should. And this idea of nadhir is very powerful. This suggests that you don't have to be a speaker or a da'i or something like that to be a nadhir. There are people in your family, when you're around them, it makes you realize you're not a very good person. Even if they don't say anything. There are people who, when they see me, they start explaining themselves. I didn't ask them to, but there's a guilt embedded inside. By the way, I'm thinking about praying nowadays. I was like, I didn't ask, bro. I know, but you have a beard and stuff, so I figured. So my beard becomes a nadhir, a constant source of warning. There might be a woman, like she's the only woman in college that wears a hijab or something, and other Muslim girls come to her and start confessing their sins. Yeah, I'm so bad, I do this, I do that. Why are you telling me? Because even if you didn't lecture somebody or warn them or threaten them, the fact that you see someone obeying Allah makes you look in the mirror and say, man, I'm not doing that. And it makes you feel bad. And that person, their presence becomes a nadhir. They're being told, okay, fine, nobody came and gave you speeches and talks and warned you. There weren't anybody around who made you say, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. You didn't even have that. Did you even have that much? Alam ya'tikum nadhir? Qalu, they responded, Bala, of course, why not? No, they did. Now, I want you to understand, this is not a casual conversation. They're being chucked into hell. So you have to keep the image, the scene in mind. They're about to be thrown in hell, and the guardians of hell, who are not nice, غِلَاظٌ شِدَادٌ, they don't speak nicely. Alam ya'tikum nadhir. That's not how they're going to talk. Alam ya'tikum nadhir? Oh, Bala. Yes. Yeah, we did it. A criminal, by his nature, likes to deflect the crime from himself. A criminal likes to say, I didn't do it. No. It wasn't me. No, nobody came. But judgment is already passed. Fire's already there. They're already starting to hear what? The loud hissing. At this point, they know excuses won't work. So maybe admission will. I did it. I'm sorry. I did it. Yes, they did come. I was so messed up. I was so wrong. So this i'tiraf is going to just come rolling out of them. It's just going to come, they're just going to pour out now. You know? قالوا بلى, of course. قد جاءنا نذير. A warner did come. Notice, لم يقولوا أتانا نذير. The question was, ألم يأتكم نذير? والجواب هو أتانا نذير. The answer should be أتانا. A warner came, but no, instead Allah uses the word جاءنا نذير. جاء is كلمة تدل على المبالغة والمشقة, meaning messengers came making great efforts. It wasn't just some easy, casually somebody came by. No. Sources of constant warning came and they put great toll and effort and labor in coming and warning us. They spared no effort in coming to us. فَكَذَّبْنَا. And we considered, now it's difficult to translate because we considered blank a lie. Or we called blank a lie. There's a blank left here. كَذَّبْنَاهُمْ كَذَّبْنَا بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ كذبنا بالمعجزات كذبنا بالإنذار كذبنا به كذبنا بالله. Like there's multiple mafa'il here. There are multiple objects here. None of them are mentioned. It's kind of strange English. We called a lie. What did you call a lie? All of it. It's like there's so many things we considered a lie, so many things we dismissed as a lie, that the list is too long, we can't even begin to say. I can tell you though, our constant position was, no matter what you say, we're going to call it a lie. It's almost like no matter what you say is already in there. Because there's no maf'ul bihi there. So, كذبنا. We didn't give the messenger a chance to speak. We never considered the revelation. We never thought about it. We thought all of it was a lie and we were not going to go back and rethink it. Because rethinking for some people is against their pride. Right? When you've said something, I think you're wrong. Okay, now I've said you're wrong. It's going to hurt my pride a lot to come back and say, actually, I was wrong. I think you're right. It takes a lot to do that. And a nation that is full of glorifying pride, it actually takes somebody who admits they're wrong and humiliates them. Oh, what happened? Made a mistake? You know, like in politics, if somebody says, I used to believe in this policy, now I believe in that policy, they'll say he's a flip-flopper or he's this or that. You know what I'm saying? Because admitting you're wrong is like an admission of your flaw. And you can't afford that. And by the way, the conversation here is happening with big guns. These are elites of Quraysh. These are public figures. For a public figure to admit they're wrong is not easy. So just don't consider anything. Don't give it a second thought. By the way, that is already an attempt to crush this attitude that has already been mentioned in the first passage. فَارْجِعِ الْبَصَرِ ثُمَّ ارْجِعِ الْبَصَرِ. Look at it again. Look at it again. Maybe you'll see something differently now. But these people didn't want to do that. فَكَذَّبْنَا. We dismissed it all. You know? وَقُلْنَا مَا نَزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. And we held on to our stance. We said, مَا نَزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. No, Allah did not send down anything at all. I'm saying no twice deliberately in translation. When I say مَا نَزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ, I'd like to translate this as no, Allah didn't send anything down. Al-ma'u lil-rafd, it's for refutation. If you say لَمْ يُنَزِّلِ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ, it's different. Is jawabu istifham. هل نزل الله؟ لم ينزل. لو قال أحد نزل الله ورفضه قال ما نزل الله. This is that when somebody claims Allah sent and you correct them or you refute them and say, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. What are you talking about? That was our attitude. Nah, get out of here. So they weren't asking a question and they weren't holding on to a belief. They were interested in refuting everything the Prophet was saying. قُلْنَا مَا نَزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. By the way, Nadhir, interestingly, is a warner but not a prophet. So it could be a prophet, but it could be anybody else. Anybody else could be a source of warning. قَدْ جَاءَنَا نَذِيرٌ. So it's not like we're exempt or people are exempt today from this declaration that angels might be asking them, didn't a warner come? Well, I didn't live in a time of a prophet. Well, actually there are other people that are constant sources of warning. So he didn't say, أَلَمْ يَأْتِكُمْ رَسُولٌ. Not here. It's أَلَمْ يَأْتِكُمْ نَذِيرٌ. It's more open-ended. قَدْ جَاءَنَا نَذِيرٌ فَكَذَّبْنَا وَقُلْنَا مَا نَزَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. And min is actually done for ta'ajjub. Not a single thing has he ever sent down. What are you talking about? There's no such thing as revelation. You people. إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ كَبِيرٍ. There's two ta'weels of it. Well, I'll give you one of them. you people are in nothing but huge amounts of confusion. You people are massively confused. That's all you people are. Notice the word you people. In other words, the warner, whoever he was, is not just one, there's a bunch of them. So they're already admitting that this is what we used to say, not just to that warner, but his followers or other people like him. So there were multiple opportunities. Allah doesn't just give one people one. فيه إشارة إلى أن الله عز وجل لا يعطي إنسانا نذيرا واحدا في حياته. Allah doesn't just give you one warner in your life. He gives you multiple people that are source of warning. You have to ignore all of them to be in this mess. Because you'll have to be saying on Judgment Day, not in anta illa fi dhalalin kabir, but in antum. All of you were clearly confused. Another way that this is interpreted, أن يكون من كلام الخزنة للكفار. Another way this same ayah is interpreted is, they said a warner came, we said nothing was ever revealed, we're so sorry. And the people pushing them in hell are saying, you guys were so massively confused. And they're pushing them in. So it's the angels of hell saying it to these prisoners as they're being thrown in أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير. وقالوا, and they'd say, and those people said, meaning the people being thrown in hell, لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل. Oh, if only. Had we been the people that used to listen, had we been listening, and had we been thinking. This had, low, is used when something is too late. It's kalimat al-hasra. It's an adat, it's a device that's used to suggest the regret, like it's too late, I can't change it now. If only we used to listen. Notice, Allah said, take a look, because they were only interested in seeing, but they didn't want to listen. And if they didn't listen, they'd never take a second look. See the relationship between those two things? Allah will ask you to listen to Him. And when you listen to Him, He'll ask you to look. That's how the process goes. So, but they wouldn't listen. So they say, لَوْ كُنَّا نَسْمَعْ أَوْ نَعْقِلْ. Had we been the ones to listen and to think about it. The intent here is to listen, meaning listen in a way that causes you to reflect and to think about something. But they were as good as not even having heard anything. And al-maqsood sama' al-qubul wal-ijaba also means that to listen actually means to agree. You know, like when I say to you, hey, listen to me, don't go there. I'm kind of saying obey me and don't go there. Do what I'm telling you. So if we only did what we were told. Nasma'u also means if we only did what we were, like you know how you say to your parents, I wish I listened to you? You did listen to them, but you didn't obey them. Right? And the parents don't say you never obey me, they say you never what? You never listen to me. It's the same in the Arabic language. It's sama' al-ijaba. And al-maqsood annahum rafadu as-sama' kama haka Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other meaning is that they actually refuse to listen altogether, not even the words. I don't want to hear it. There's one thing to hear it and say, I'm not going to listen to you, meaning I'm not going to obey you. There's another layer before that, I don't even want to hear a word. That's implied here too. We weren't interested in hearing a word. Notice also, نسمع أو نعقل comes without مفعول. يعني نسمع كلامهم, نسمع لهم, نسمع للنذير, نعقل ما قيل. Right? If we only thought about, if we were only listening, thinking about what was said to us, if we were thinking about what we were told, there's no objects, there's just the verbs without objects. We heard and we thought. Thought about what? Understood what? Heard what? The idea is we weren't interested in hearing a thing, and we didn't want to think about a thing. There were some things that when you hear and they bring you closer to Allah, a shaitan trigger goes off in people's head. If they've been listening to waswasa of shaitan for a long time, you know what happens? That waswasa becomes very active. So as soon as they hear something that might bring them closer to Allah, the alarm goes off. I don't want to talk about this. I don't think I want to talk about this. I think we should change the subject. What are we if not thinking, pondering, reflecting creatures? So they say if we only listened and we thought, مَا كُنَّا فِي أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ, we would not have been from the people of as-sa'ir. Sa'ir has already been mentioned. That pit that burns. And this, in saying this, they've been connected with shayateen. Because sa'ir was made for shayateen, and now they are fi ashab as-sa'ir. We would not be in the company of the people of as-sa'ir, the companions of as-sa'ir. Who are the companions of as-sa'ir already established in the surah? The shayateen. So now they're together. Allah bunched them together now by the end of this passage. فَاعْتَرَفُوا بِذَنْبِهِمْ. By the way, notice لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل لما كنا في أصحاب السعير. جواب لو يأتي باللام. لما كنا. You know, لو شئنا لقلنا مثل هذا. The lam comes with it. So in English you say, had I done this, I would have done that. And the would part in Arabic comes with the lam. So the expectation here is لما كنا في أصحاب السعير. Actually, now they're at a point where they're saying, we were so far gone, even if we had heard and we had thought about it, we probably still wouldn't have acted on it. They're not as sure that that would have been enough. If they were completely sure that that would have been enough for them, they would have added another layer of emphasis to their statement and said, لما كنا, they removed it and said, actually, we had deeper problems too. In other words, we're learning listening and thinking are steps. They're not the final. Because you have to listen, you have to think, and then you have to act. Right? There's a third step. There are people who listen and think and understand very well and still don't act. If this was the final and this would be the one to save you for sure and that's it, that's all that's needed, then the emphasis would have been justified. لَمَا كُنَّا فِي أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. But there's something to be left, something to be desired here. And so مَا كُنَّا فِي أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. We would not have been from the people of as-Sa'ir. فَاعْتَرَفُوا بِذَنْبِهِمْ. So they acknowledge, they recognize. The word اعترف is to acknowledge, to admit, right? To accept. It comes from the word urf, which is to recognize. I'tiraf is lazim in a sense that it says to recognize in oneself. They recognize in oneself and to admit before oneself, about oneself. بِذَنْبِهِمْ. They recognize their own dhanb. Dhanb in the Arabic language comes from the word dhanab. It's one of the many words in Arabic for a sin. Okay, so sayyi'ah, janah, jaram. There's lots of words in Arabic for sin. And dhanab means the tail of an animal. And dhanab in Arabic literature is used for that which is embarrassing. A source of embarrassment. So they'll admit to what they find embarrassing. This is actually when you do something you know you could have done better. You know, there's mistakes you make that are beyond your capability. You fail a test and you took calculus, 201 and you don't even know basic algebra and you ended up in the wrong class and you failed it. That's not a dhanb because it's far beyond the expectations you have, right? But you're a calculus student and you failed a third grade math test. Now it's embarrassing. Your failure is embarrassing now. Okay? So this is the idea of a dhanb. And the use of it here is suggesting people should have expected more from themselves. And it's an embarrassment to themselves before it is to anybody else. فَاعْتَرَفُوا بِذَنْبِهِمْ. Now, الفاء الأولى فصيحة. What that means is, this fa in the beginning is actually an elaborator in doing so, in saying that if we only thought, and if we only listened, and we only thought, we wouldn't have ended up among the company of the people that are being set ablaze. In saying so, they have admitted their sin. So فَاعْتَرَفُوا بِذَنْبِهِمْ is like, thus they have admitted their sin. Thus they've admitted their sin. Notice the word dhanb is also singular. It's not فَاعْتَرَفُوا بِذُنُوبِهِمْ. They admitted their sins. It's actually, they just admitted their sin. It's alluj, it's their stubbornness. It's one thing, just a refusal to listen. Just that not even taking that was it was the gateway crime that led to all the other crimes. So they admit to that. They admit where they were, what they were holding inside of them. And by the way, even if you admit now, we should admit our sins now to Allah. What's the point of admitting it as you being pushed in hell? There's no benefit. حتى إذا أدركه الغرق قال آمنت أنه لا إله إلا الذي آمنت به بنو إسرائيل وأنا من المسلمين. Kalam Fir'aun. Fir'aun said, as soon as the drowning waters became imminent and he knew it's done, he said, I believe in that there's no one to worship except the one that the Israelites worship. He couldn't even say Allah. Even then, the guy is just wow. And I'm Muslim. I'm among the Muslims. فَقِيلَ لَهُ, it was said, الآن, oh now? Horn? وَقَدْ عَصَيْتَ قَبْلِ وَكُنْتَ مِنَ الْمُفْسِدِينَ. You were doing sins way before. Come on. Just now you were doing sins. يوم يأتي بعض آيات ربك لا ينفع نفسا إيمانها لم تكن آمنت من قبل. When some of them, the signs of Allah manifest themselves, like hell manifests itself, then any person coming to the faith, what's the point of it now, that if they didn't believe already? أو كسبت في إيمانها خيرا, if they didn't earn any good from their faith from before. And by the way, that is an allusion to the fact that faith isn't enough. You have to earn beyond your faith. You know? فَسُحْقًا لِأَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. So, suhq, I'll translate that in a sec. Suh is for the people of Sa'ir. Now, who are the people of Sa'ir? It's the shayateen and the disbelievers. Allahumma la taj'alna minhum. As-suhqu inhaaku shay. Suhq actually means of something to fall apart, to deteriorate. سحقت أو سحقت الريح الأرض. The earth was blistered by the wind. For you to get blistered or to be attacked. مكان سحيق means a far away, uncharted kind of place. سحقا له أو أسحقه الله أبعده. يعني بعدا له, stay far away from me. So the two meanings that come inside suhuq are actually distance. That's why as-suhuq is also used for an-nakhla. A tall palm tree is also called as-suhuq. An-nakhlatu at-tawila li-bu'di a'laha 'an al-ard. Because the top of it is very far from the earth. That's why it's called a suhuq. So something that you want to keep away. This is actually a repetition of something that's already been alluded to in the word khasi'an. Khasi'an was get away from me. And suhqan is actually furthering that idea. May they be cast off, put far away. That's one meaning of the word suhq. The other meaning is actually a curse and pain. A painful curse, you could even say. Okay?